Danny Rand came back to New York City with no shoes. He was happy to be home and curious about how things had changed. When he got to Rand Enterprises, he was listening to music on his iPod. He told a peanut seller the company belonged to him, but the guy didn't believe him because he looked like a random street guy. Danny walked into the building for the first time in years and talked to the receptionist. He noticed that June wasn't there anymore. He asked to meet Harold Mickham and said he was Danny Rand, Wendell Rand's son. The receptionist didn't believe him and said he couldn't meet Harold. Danny watched a video about his father's company, but security came and threw him out, thinking he was just some crazy homeless guy. He asked them to call Meachum, but they said no. Danny tried again, and this time used his fighting skills to dodge security without hurting anyone. More guards came, but he got into the elevator. With a stolen key card, he reached the top floor and walked into Harold Meacham's office where he saw Ward. They were confused to see each other and Danny said hi to Joy, but neither recognized him. Ward called security and Danny said again he was Danny Rand and wanted to see Harold. Ward and Joy said the Rand family had died in a crash and that Harold had died from cancer. Joy told him to leave. Danny asked if they could talk more at Stage Deli. Ward got angry and nearly fought him. Danny snapped for a second but then calmed down and said sorry. Ward warned him to leave. Security showed up with guns and threw Danny out again. Ward told him to stay away. Danny went to his old house, which now belonged to the Meachums. He found a carving from when he was a kid. No one answered the door, so he climbed the building and got inside. While looking around, he saw a party photo of Ward and Joy. He moved carefully, but Joy's dog, Toro, noticed him. Danny stayed calm and used his chai to settle the dog down, then locked it in the study. He found an old photo of himself with the Meachums from a holiday. On the roof, he remembered when Ward blamed him for something he didn't do. When Joy came home, Danny left quietly without being seen. With nowhere to go and no money, he slept in Central Park. A homeless man named Big Al thought Danny was just like him. Al offered to help and search Danny, Y's name online. They found an article saying Danny had died in a plane crash 15 years ago. Also mentioned Harold's big funeral. He gave Danny advice on where to find food and shoes. Danny felt like he had someone on his side and fell asleep outside. Danny Rand went back to his old house to convince Joy he was really Danny, but she still didn't believe him and called security. He tried sharing old memories to prove it. Even mentioned sneaking in and seeing her dog Toro, but that only made things worse. When security showed up, Rand ran into the street and had to use his chai to leap over a taxi to escape. Later, he sat in Central Park to meditate and calm himself down. Colleen Wing saw him and thought he was homeless, so she gave him some coins. Curious, Rand started talking to her while she was putting up posters for her dojo. He tried to give the money back, but she told him to keep it. He noticed her ads and asked for a job, but she said no, assuming he only wanted to clean. Still desperate, Rand found Ward Meachum and got into his car. He wouldn't stop talking, so Ward pulled a gun and said they were going to the cops. Rand took the gun with ease, pointed it at Ward for a second, then tossed it aside. Ward didn't believe Rand was who he said he was, thinking Danny died in the crash. Rand brought up childhood memories, but Ward mocked him. Angry, Rand sped the car to scare him, almost crashed, and only stopped when Ward finally called him Danny. Rand apologized, but Ward warned him things weren't finished. Back in Central Park, Rand shared a sandwich with Big Al and talked about finding purpose. Rand said he was supposed to protect Kowloon, but Big Al told him to just enjoy life. Rand then visited Colleen Wing again and offered to teach Kung Fu to bring in more students. She said no. When she asked about Kaun, Rand avoided the topic. Wing got irritated, pointed a wooden sword at him, and told him to leave. Rand joked it wasn't sharp, but Wing reminded him it could still hurt. He remembered his training, apologized, and walked away. She still gave him shoes. Outside, Shannon from Rand Enterprises attacked Rand with a bayonet. Rand beat him quickly, but when Shannon pulled a gun, Rand took it and ran. He dodged bullets, jumped over a wall, and got away. One man chased him, but Rand knocked him out and ditched the gun. He blended into a Chinese New Year parade and used Colleen's money to buy mask. When Shannon's guys came close, Rand slipped through the crowd and took one of them down during the chaos. He then confronted Shannon, who admitted Ward sent him. Rand knocked him out and escaped again. Later, Rand found Big Al dead from drugs in Central Park. He noticed a raven tattoo on his arm and realized something was off. Wanting answers, Rand sneaked into Rand Enterprises again and spoke to Joy. He told her the building felt like home. He said Ward tried to kill him, but she didn't believe it. She thought Shannon acted on his own but started to question things. While they talked, Rand suddenly passed out. Joy had drugged his tea. She and Ward had him sent to a mental hospital. Rand dreamed about the crash and the monks Chadok and Tashi who saved him. When he woke up, he was tied to a hospital bed. An orderly named Simon refused to untie him, calling him dangerous. Rand tried to explain himself, but Simon told him he had to kill himself to get help. Before things got worse, staff pulled Simon away, leaving Rand drugged and unconscious again. Later, Rand meditated and tried to focus on his memories of Kunlun, but the crash kept bothering him. Dr. Paul Edmonds sat with him. Rand asked to be untied and promised to stay calm. Edmonds loosened one strap, but still wasn't sure Rand was who he claimed to be. Rand explained again how Chuck and Tashi found him after the crash and how he survived. Edmonds showed Rand a passport with his photo, but the name was John Anderson. Rand denied knowing it, though he had stolen it from Morocco. Edmonds told him to be honest if he wanted to leave the hospital before leaving him restrained. After being freed, Rand was given a tour by Simon, who apologized for his earlier actions. Simon shared stories about the patients, including Dink and Leo. Rand stayed determined to leave in 72 hours, but Simon warned him most patients had been there for years. In the leisure room, Simon mentioned that he and others had stayed longer than expected. After Simon made a comment about the patients, Dink got upset and Rand ended up in a fight. Rand easily overpowered Dink, which led to guards taking him away. Rand was strapped down and drugged again. Simon visited and asked if he had any family or friends. Rand asked Simon to help him call Colleen Wing at the Chakra dojo. After explaining his situation, Colleen refused to help, unwilling to risk her life for him. Back in his room, Rand meditated, remembering his time in Loon and the details of his plane crash. Paul Edmonds visited again, asking about the drugs Rand was taking. Rand admitted to lying about the passport, but insisted he was Danny Rand, not John Anderson. Edmonds didn't believe him and left. Joe then came in to give Rand his medication, which he took willingly. Later, Edmonds showed Rand an old Rand Enterprises commercial, which Rand immediately recognized from his childhood. Edmonds suggested that Rand fantasized about being part of a wealthy family, but Rand calmly explained the commercial's backstory. When Edmonds insisted Rand was John Anderson, Rand snapped, smashed the computer screen, and yelled that he was Danny Rand. Staff members arrived, sedated him, and dragged him back to his room. That night, Rand was strapped down and drugged again. As he tried to sleep, he hallucinated Harold Meacham, who reminded Rand how he used to annoy him by singing Danny Boy. Confused, Rand explained his time with the Order of the Crane Mother and how he regretted leaving Kowloon for New York. Meacham questioned Rand about Kuhn in the Iron Fist, showing interest in the hand. Rand begged to be freed from the hospital, and Meacham promised to help. The next day, Rand struggled to meditate, haunted by memories of the crash. Joe delivered a package from Joy Meacham. Inside was a bag of M, and Ms. Rand picked out the brown ones, which were personal details that could prove his identity. Later, Colleen Wing visited, questioning why Ward Meacham had labeled Rand dangerous at the Chakra dojo. Rand explained to Wing that the Meachams saw him as a threat to their control of Rand Enterprises. But Wing laughed, saying the situation was never simple. She asked if Rand was dangerous, and he assured her he only posed a threat to the Meachams. He asked her to return the package to Joy. As Rand's 72-hour stay at Burst Psychiatric Hospital ended, Paul Edmonds visited and asked questions only Danny Rand would know. After Rand answered, Edmonds seemed to believe him, but was still shocked by the story. Rand excitedly shared details about Kowloon and the Iron Fist, explaining it was another dimension and that he was both Danny Rand and the Iron Fist. Edmonds, however, believed Rand was suffering from a psychotic disorder caused by the trauma of the plane crash. He dismissed the Iron Fist as a coping mechanism and insisted Rand stay in treatment for his safety. That night, Joe moved Rand to a new room where Dink, Leo, and Tony attacked him under Ward Meacham's orders. The pain helped Rand focus his chai, and he summoned the Iron Fist to break free. After knocking out his attackers, he waited for Joe, then used the Iron Fist to smash the hospital's metal door and escape. Rand was ready to confront the Meachams and take back Rand Enterprises. After escaping Birch Psychiatric Hospital, Rand hid at Chikara Dojo. He saw Colleen Wing fend off Shannon and his men who were searching for him. Rand hid on the ceiling while Wing fought them off. Once they left, Rand apologized for the trouble, mentioning Shannon had broken the door lock. Wing told him to go by morning. The next day, Rand stayed playing loud music while meditating. Daryl watched as Wing told him to turn it off. She asked why he hadn't left, and Rand said he was worried for her. Wing insisted she didn't need protection, prompting Rand to criticize her fighting style. Wing tried to punch him in frustration, but he easily dodged. They sparred briefly while Daryl watched and Rand lectured Wing on focusing on internal force. Wing ignored him and failed to land a hit. Rand defeated Wing in their spar, explaining how harnessing her chai would improve her fighting. Wing insisted he leave, but Rand offered 6 months rent for a week's stay and promised to fix her door. She agreed. Later, Rand set up a Buddha display outside the Meacham residence. Joy noticed it and Rand expressed a desire to rebuild their friendship. Joy asked where Rand had been. He explained his connection to the Meachams which kept him in New York and shared how her father's death affected her. Rand admitted having similar dreams about Harold while in the hospital, though he wondered if the drugs influenced them. Meacham invited Rand inside and offered him a check for $100 million to buy his silence and his share of Rand Enterprises. She convinced Ward to increase the offer. Rand was disgusted when Meacham asked him to change his name. Feeling betrayed, he left, saying it wasn't about money. Rand saw it was well maintained at the Rand Memorial and learned Jerry Hogarth had been taking care of it. That evening, Rand approached Hogarth, who threatened him with pepper spray. He convinced her he was Danny Rand by using a nickname from her intern days. After answering questions, she believed him. In Central Park, Hogarth explained she had managed the estate and memorial. She warned Rand that the Meachams would oppose him and needed proof of his identity. Rand recalled how the Meachams had once been his friends before turning on him. Hogarth agreed to help him reclaim his company, but only if her firm became a permanent retainer. She offered him a suite and money for new clothes. At Shirkara Dojo, Rand stepped in when Caleb misbehaved, striking him after Caleb mocked him. Wing was furious and demanded Rand leave. Rand apologized, realizing his mistake. Rand felt out of place in the suite and slept on the floor, recalling his harsh Kunlun training. The following day, Hogarth explained their case was complicated with no evidence of his existence. She suspected the Meachams were behind it. Rand, distracted by skateboarding kids, remembered an injury from his past. Rand went to the hospital hoping to find records proving his identity. Inside the empty record room, Kevin Singleton offered to help, but then attacked Rand with knuckle dusters, knocking him down. As Singleton started to burn the records with Ethel, Rand summoned the Iron Fist, getting up and defeating Singleton's man. Though weakened, Rand managed to stop Singleton from setting the records on fire. They fought with Rand using a book to defend himself from a knife. Despite the struggle, Singleton managed to start the fire before fleeing. Rand focused on saving a woman Singleton had attacked and pulled her out just in time before the explosion consumed the records. Rand looked at the burning room, horrified, and contemplated his next move. Rand confronted the Meachams at a restaurant, furious that they had erased all records of his existence. He reminded Ward that he was the only one who knew about his broken arm. Ward admitted he wanted the old Danny Rand to stay dead. Rand warned them that he had Hogarth's help and would take back what was his. The next day, Rand and Hogarth met the Meachams at Rand Enterprises. Joy offered a reduced buyout of $20 million, but Hogarth revealed they wanted control of the company. Ward dismissed Rand's identity, but Hogarth proved it with a clay bowl Rand had made for Joy, still containing his fingerprints. With proof of Rand's identity, the case was won. Ward, enraged, threatened delays, but Hogarth was unfazed, saying they would meet in court. Rand refused the buyout offer, saying it was about his name. As they left, Rand noticed pictures of Wendell Rand and Harold Mecham. Sparking curiosity about a previous encounter with Harold, he decided to follow Ward. Overhearing a phone conversation and suspecting there was more to the situation, Rand trailed Ward to a building, sneaking past security. Unable to follow inside due to a fingerprint scan, Rand climbed to the next floor. Just as he was about to enter, Ward noticed and shoved him away. As Rand fell, he barely managed to grab onto a light fixture before hitting his head. He nearly fell to his death, but somehow survived. When he woke up in the penthouse, Rand realized Ward had pushed him. Ward calmly said he was stopping a break-in. Rand started arguing with him, but then Harold Mecham, who turned out to be alive, stepped in. Rand couldn't believe it. Remembering Harold from the psychiatric hospital, he hugged Harold in shock. Harold explained that after he died, the hand brought him back to life and had been working inside Rand Enterprises. He asked for Rand's help, but warned him not to tell Joy, saying it was for her safety. Then Harold ordered Ward to stop all the legal fights and give Rand what he needed. Harold brushed off Ward's complaints about the hand's Red Hook Pier deal. He was just happy Rand had returned. Ward warned Rand not to trust Harold, saying he could never replace Wendell. Following Harold's command, Ward dropped the legal case and made Rand CEO again. Later, Rand returned to Rand Enterprises to meet with Ward and Joy. At the press conference, Rand nervously talked about coming home. He mentioned how his father respected the company, his parents died, and the Order of the Crane raised him. He talked about valuing life, hard work, and the Rand name. When reporters asked about Burr Psychiatric Hospital, Rand admitted he'd been there and even thanked the Mechams. Ward quickly cut him off before he could say more. Afterwards, Joy commented that Rand was being too friendly about the hospital. When Rand asked about Red Hook Pier, Joy told him to talk to Megan. He got frustrated by the runaround, but learned he had a meeting with Hogarth. Rand got lost in memories in his father's old office until Hogarth brought him back to reality. She handed him papers to sign, making her firm the company's lawyers. When Rand asked what he was supposed to do now, Hogarth said that with his 51% ownership, he had the final say on everything. She told him not to waste this chance. During a board meeting about a leishmaniasis drug, Rand interrupted to sit by Joy. He pushed to sell the medicine at cost price only. At the meeting, Rand refused to raise the drug's price, insisting it just cover costs. As the majority owner, his decision stood despite board complaints. Later, Joy finally agreed to discuss Red Hook Pier. Walking together, Joy joked about Rand's robes and explained she gave Jerry the bowl because it reminded her of Harold. She wanted to do what was right, and Rand told her Harold would be proud. Back at the penthouse, Rand questioned the Red Hook Pier deal. Joy said Ward was behind it and she trusted his judgment because he'd been successful. When Joy asked why he cared, Rand gave a half-true story about competing to become Iron Fist in Kuin. He remembered how the Order of Crane Mother doubted him and how he never thought about what becoming Iron Fist would cost. As they looked around his fancy penthouse, Rand compared it to his simple room in Kuin. Joy mentioned his tough training with Lylca, but Rand just smiled it off. Suddenly, Rand heard Joy scream. He ran to find thugs dragging her away. He took down too quickly, dodging hatchets and counterattacking smoothly. Just as he beat them, more thugs pulled Joy into an elevator. Rand dodged a flying hatchet and knocked out the last attacker. Determined to save Joy, Rand jammed the elevator doors and used his iron fist to block a hatchet with his bare skin. He easily beat all the attackers unharmed and rescued Joy. Before running away, the thugs muttered about going to Golden Sands. Rand focused on getting Joy to safety. He brought Joy to Chikar Dojo where Colleen Wing reluctantly helped. When Rand asked about Golden Sands and described the hatchet-wielding thugs, Wing identified them as Yangiganchi Triad. She told him where to find them, So Rand confronted the gang while Wing protected Joy. At Golden Sands, the receptionist froze when Rand mentioned Yangi Ganchi. He told her not to worry as the staff backed away nervously. Rand faced Hai Ching, warning him to leave Joy alone. Yang said his gang had a deal with the previous Red Hook Pier owners, but Rand demanded no more threats. When Rand mentioned the hand, Yang got scared and apologized. At the dojo, Rand told Joy the triad wouldn't bother her anymore. He fixed Wing's dislocated finger and offered 6 months' rent, but she refused. Rand and Joy left, agreeing not to tell Ward about the triad attack. Rand meditated in his penthouse the following day to recharge his iron fist power. A knock at the door interrupted him. He opened it to find a small red box from Yang containing a heroin packet with a strange symbol, the mark of Shou-Lao the Undying. The familiar dragon symbol shocked Rand deeply. Rand looked into the heroin that Hai Ching gave him. He talked to Sandy and a scientist at Rand, and she told him it wasn't made from opium. Instead, it was a chemical drug that was easy to make without growing anything. Most importantly, it wasn't illegal. She warned Rand that the drug could start a big problem in New York City. Rand said he would take care of it and thanked her for help. After that, Rand went to Ward Mecham's office and put the heroin on his desk. He told Mecham that the drugs were coming from Red Hook Pier and that they were connected to Yangi Ganchi. Mecham got angry and said Rand was imagining things. Rand pointed to the Shou-Lao symbol on the drug and said it was linked to Kuan Luan and the hand. But Mecham didn't believe him and didn't want to help. Rand felt disappointed and left the office, leaving the heroin behind. Mecham was annoyed and then asked Megan about the next shipment at Red Hook Pier. She didn't know, but told him to talk to Sarah Galvin. After meeting Galvin, Regina Fitzgerald approached Rand. She showed him a photo of her son who got cancer because of the Rand chemical plant. Rand promised to make things right, not knowing he lawyers secretly recorded the conversation. Later, Rand went to Chikara Dojo and found Colleen Wing training Claire Temple. Temple joked about Rand going from rich to poor. Rand wanted to talk to Wing, but she told him to wait until her class ended. Rand awkwardly said he had ordered takeout, and Wing was surprised when several men brought in tables and food from Wendell Rand's favorite place. Wing asked if the dinner was supposed to be a date, but Rand quickly said no. He explained that he needed her help with a crime problem. To make things less awkward, Wing invited Temple to eat with them, too. During dinner, Rand told stories about his time in Kuan and how he trained after the plane crash. Wing reminded him that he wanted to talk about something important. After Temple left, Rand said that criminals were using Rand Enterprises to move drugs. He couldn't go to the police, so he asked Wing to help him get proof to show Ward Mecham. Rand said stopping the shipment at Red Hook Pier was very important to protect people, especially Wing's students. Wing didn't want to help at first, but Rand told her he had bought the building she used for training and was now her landlord. After that, she agreed to help. Before their mission, Rand tried using Wing's katana, but Wing quickly corrected him and showed him how to use it properly. They both got excited about martial arts and then went to the pier. While sneaking in, Rand told Wing their past struggles prepared them for this. They avoided the guards quietly and had a quick emotional moment. Rand apologized for asking too many personal questions earlier. They both agreed to keep going. At the pier, they watched guards checking the Rand shipment, but nothing seemed illegal. Rand got suspicious and went inside a container while Wing kept watch. But before he found anything, guards locked the container and the truck started moving. Inside, Rand met Rutten Bernovig, the man who made the heroin. Just as they began talking, someone named King attacked. During their fight, King accidentally stabbed Bernovig. Rand used his iron fist to break the door and escape. He met Wing again and they ran off in a stolen vehicle. Because Bernovig was dying, they called Claire Temple for help. Going to the hospital was too risky. At the dojo, Temple treated Bernovig and saved him from a collapsed lung. While gasping for air, he told them the hand had kidnapped his daughter, Sabina. Temple looked serious. The hand had killed her co-worker before. Bernovig admitted he made something called the Steel Serpent Formula. Rand promised to rescue Sabina, even though Temple didn't think he could do it. She said, "A rich kid can't fight the hand alone. Kunlun trained me for this." Rand said. He wasn't a CEO like his dad, but he believed this was his true purpose. Temple saw that he had a warrior's heart. He's not alone, Wing said, standing beside him. While meditating in his office, Rand remembered Unk's warning that enemies would always come. With Megan's help, he had been tracking hand warehouses until Ward suddenly showed up. Rand told Ward about Brnovig getting kidnapped, but Ward didn't care. He was angry about Rand's apology video going viral. CEOs never say sorry, he snapped, throwing some meeting papers at Rand. We don't have time. People's lives are in danger, Rand said. He pulled Ward along to check out the warehouses. We'll come back in time for your meeting. At Rand's Aston Martin, he joked about missing his donkey cart from Saloon. Ward wasn't amused and frowned as they drove off. After checking 3 empty warehouses, Mycheckum was getting annoyed. But in the 4th one, they found King's head. Cut off. A warning from the hand. At the dojo, the dying Brnovig told them to hurry. Even though Temple told him not to, Rand agreed to fight as the Iron Fist. While getting ready at the dojo, Rand ignored Wing's worries about how dangerous the fight would be. If you doubt, you die, he said, quoting Lyrca. He thought about the old story of the warrior who fell from the sky, which gave him the courage to leave. At the Hand's hideout, Rand demanded, "Let Sabina go and leave Rand Enterprises alone." Madame Gao agreed, but warned him if he lost and lived, he had to stop getting in their way. He then faced twin assassins, Andre and Grigory. They accused him of being a famous businessman and not guarding Kunlun's gates. They cut their palms and made a circle of blood around them. At first, Rand struggled, but then he remembered Lyrca's training. He needed to adapt. They kept taunting him, but Rand stayed focused. He took down Grigory and broke Andre's arm after being cut. He won the fight and wrapped up his injury. Gao took him to the next round. Rand then fought the Bride of 9 Spiders in a smoke-filled room. She mocked him, asking if he was Danny Rand or just the Iron Fist, and then poisoned him with needles. She laughed at his Kunlun training. Rand was dizzy and couldn't hit her. She threw him against a wall. Weak from the poison, Rand remembered Li Kung's words. He had to get rid of weakness. He blocked her knife, lit up Hiskey, and knocked her out with a glowing kick. Gao then brought him to the last fight. Scythe mocked Rand, saying, "A weapon always has a master." They started fighting. Scythe had a naginata while Rand used only his fists. Rand broke the weapon and then asked who Scythe's master was. "The Hand," Scythe answered, picking up another weapon. Rand moved into a tight area, making it hard for Scythe to fight. He disarmed him again. Scythe threw blades, but Rand dodged and ran into Gao's viewing room. That's when Lyrca's last lesson came to him. Let go of the past. Everything seemed to slow down. Rand's chi lit up, and one glowing punch broke all of Scythe's weapons and knocked him down. But just as Rand was about to finish it, Gao stopped him. She was holding Sabina. "Hit him and she dies," she said, telling Rand to give up. Even though Lyrca had taught him to destroy the Hand no matter what, Rand chose to show mercy. He spared Scythe to save Sabina. Gao kept her word and let Sabina go. She looked at Rand, talked about Kunlun and his father's past, and then hit him with chi. He staggered out of the warehouse, seeing a vision of the Thunderer, his master, turning away in disappointment. After the dodge, John, and ensuring Sabina's safety, Rand met with Harold Meachum. When he arrived, he found Alexei and Vondo interrogating Harold, threatening to sever his finger. Startled by Rand's sudden entrance, Meachum seized a knife and stabbed Alexei. Vondo opened fire, but Rand dodged the bullets and disarmed him. Meachum then slit Vondo's throat, leaving Rand horrified. Harold claimed self-defense and questioned why Rand hadn't used the Iron Fist. Rand explained his chi was depleted after the tournament. Gao had altered the rules after he defeated Scythe. Meachum warned that the Hand was onto them, revealing Gao as the original dealmaker. When Rand demanded answers about Gao's connection to his father and Rand Enterprises, Meachum dismissed Wendell's knowledge and urged caution. Then, without explanation, Mike Hum severed his finger, leaving Rand stunned. Rand returned to Chikara Dojo where Colleen Wing treated his wounds from the duel with Andreevsnikov. He recounted the Daejujan and considered faking a mugging at Metro General to explain his injuries, but Wing warned against it, recalling Radovan Bernov's abduction there. As she stitched cuts and checked bruises from his fight with Scythe, Rand voiced regret over his withdrawal. Wing suspected the tournament had been rigged. Rand insisted that Sabina's life had left him no choice but to vow to uncover Madame Gao's connection to his father. Wing doubted anything Gao said could be trusted. Then a message came from Claire Temple. Bernovig was safe. Later sharing a drink, Rand told Wing about stealing plum wine with Davos back in Kuin. She asked about the Iron Fist mark. He explained that it harnessed Hiski and granted him strength, but that it was still drained. Wing asked to see the mark anyway. Rand smiled, calling her the strongest person he knew, easing her guilt over Radovan. She wondered if he'd keep fighting the hand. "I can't quit now," Rand said. He rose to leave, but she stopped him. After hesitating, mindful of his vows, he kissed her. She traced the mark of Zolo as they spent the night together. At dawn, Rand admired the still city until Wing joined him. Their intimacy felt like a first for both. She urged him to drop the bravado, promising acceptance. They kissed again, deepening their bond. Later at Rand Enterprises, Rand asked Megan to dig up all records linking his father to Gao. Joy intercepted him, pressing for a signed apology over the Staten Island plant scandal. Rand refused, citing cancer cases in the community. Joy, however, focused on salvaging the company's image. Suddenly, Gao appeared in his office. She placed a plant on his desk and mocked his weak soul post-tournament. When he confronted her, she smirked. "I've been here longer than you." She warned against attacking her publicly, then mocked his Iron Fist legacy, claiming past warriors would never have abandoned the Daejujan for a girl. To her, that was proof of his weakness. Rand demanded answers about Kunlun's symbol on her heroine and her ties to Wendell. Gao deflected, musing about the changing city, Daredevil, Luke Cage, and now a rogue Iron Fist. She offered a deal. Surrender Rand Enterprises, enjoy its wealth, and she'd spare his friends. Gao chuckled when he pressed about his father again and said, "Water your plant." Tracking the elevator with his Iron Fist, Rand infiltrated the abandoned 13th floor. There, hidden, he overheard Gao and Sophia plotting. The hand would use Rand trucks driven by Russians and the Dogs of Hell to distribute heroin. Gao revealed that Radovan Bernovig would soon mass-produce the formula, which would be distributed through Rand Enterprises. Rand burned with fury. When Sophia mentioned Hai Qingyang as a threat, Gao ordered the Yangi Ganqi to be eliminated. After Gao left, Rand confronted Sophia, disarming her. He sensed her fear. "Gao kills failures," he warned. "Run." Sophia relented, giving him her tablet's password to sabotage the hand's operation. Back in his office, Megan urged him to change out of his torn suit before the board meeting. She had only found Wendell's old membership card in the archives. When Rand pushed about the Staten Island plant, she quietly admitted her mother lived there and children were falling ill. At the board meeting, Joy handed him a scripted apology. Instead, Rand announced the immediate shutdown of the plant with paid leave for workers. Lawrence Wilkins scoffed. "Your father would never do this." Rand answered coolly, "My father fought for what's right." Maria Rodriguez dismissed his authority. Wilkins mocked his Count MBA, but the board caved when Rand revealed that Karen Page's expose at the Bulletin had already been written. Joy stood by him. At Harold Metcham's penthouse, Rand handed over Sophia's tablet. They reviewed the Steel Serpent shipment logs. Rand's jaw tightened. "Did you know about the 13th floor?" Metcham joked about charging ward rent, but denied any involvement. "The hand used my name to traffic heroin," Rand snapped. Meachum urged him to focus on the Brooklyn warehouse instead of rescuing Bernovig. "You need an army," he said. Rand hesitated, torn between strategy and doing what was right. Rand watched Colleen Wing say goodbye to Daryl at the dojo that evening. Her speech about unity stuck with him as he decided to recruit Hai Qingyang, Unk.'s forces. Alone with Wing, Rand warned that the Hand knew about her and Temple. Though confident in her skills, Wing asked about Bernavig. "I know where he is," Rand said. "But the plan's dangerous." Wing didn't flinch. "We're going now." Rand and Wing approached Haiqinyang at Golden Sands, urging an alliance against Gao. Skeptical, Yang hesitated until Rand revealed the Hand's plan to exterminate the Yangi Ganqi. "The Hand fears me," Rand said. "Join us and they'll fear you too." During the Hatchet Men's warehouse assault, Rand and Wing found Bernavig bleeding out. Gasping, he begged them to protect Sabina. Then came the truth. "I gave Gao the formula. She's in Anzhou." Rand froze. Anzhou, where his parents had died. After the attack on the Hant's warehouse, Rand went back to Harold Mecham's penthouse. He tried to warn Claire Temple, not knowing she was in the shower while someone was hiding inside. Rand only found a pool of blood which shocked and scared him. Then Ward Mickham showed up and got angry at Rand. Rand told him Harold might be dead. Ward was surprised and Rand blamed himself for going against the Hand. Ward called him a problem and said he was like cancer. Rand said he would go to Anzhou to catch Gao. Ward told him to stay away from him and Joy. Rand left with the tablet. Later, Rand met up with Colleen and Claire. They planned to look into his family's plane crash in Anzhou. Colleen asked if Gao made heroin there. Rand believed Gao caused the crash because Harold had been looking into her. Claire warned it might be a trap and said Rand's plan was reckless. Rand said he needed answers. Even though he told them not to come, Colleen and Claire joined him anyway. On the plane, Claire joked with Rand about Colleen, then asked what he would do if Gao really killed his parents. Rand said it was his job as the Iron Fist to stop her. Claire didn't agree. Colleen reminded them of all the bad things Gao had done. When the plane hit turbulence, Rand panicked, remembering the crash and losing his parents. Claire helped calm him down and talked him through the pain. When they got to Anzhou, they watched the Hands building. Rand was nervous, not about Gao, but just waiting. While sitting with Colleen, she talked about how her mother died and how her dad sent her to Japan. They connected over their losses and kissed. Claire woke up and asked if anything had happened. Rand found the heroin lab and wanted to take action while Colleen got info from a blind beggar. They learned the guards and slaves left every night. Rand came up with a plan to burn the lab so Gao would show up. He and Colleen sneaked in, avoiding the guards. Inside, they saw the Kunlun symbol. Rand started pouring fuel to set the place on fire. Rand said he might kill Gao if she really caused the crash, though that thought scared him. Colleen said she understood because she also lost control after meeting him, then joked that it was his fault. Suddenly, Claire honked the horn to warn them. Gao arrived with guards. Rand told Colleen to check on Claire while he chased after Gao. Gao walked toward a building guarded by Zhou Chung, who was drunk. Rand tried to bribe him to move, but Chung said no and introduced himself as a Hand defender. He challenged Rand to a fight and Rand agreed. Chung fought in a strange, wild style that was hard to deal with. Chung kept fighting with wild kicks and headbutts. He even lay down and smiled while Rand tried to recover. Chung made fun of Rand and joked that his haircut was his only good point. Rand got frustrated and broke Chung's wine bottle. Chung attacked back harder. After landing a few good hits, Rand knocked Chung down. Chung grabbed another bottle and said Rand was hiding behind his duty. When Chung threw the bottle, Rand caught it and smashed it over his own head, then hit Chung again and again until he went crashing through the door. Rand got so angry he almost beat Chung to death. But Claire and Colleen showed up and were shocked by what they saw. As Rand walked forward, Gao told him to stop. She said she would let Colleen and Claire go if Rand gave up. Rand said no, he would rather die than let her hurt them. Gao told her men to attack. Colleen fought with her sword. Claire used Tekkejai and Rand fought with his bare hands. Together, they beat the guards. One of them even stabbed his own ally by accident. Claire noticed the guards' weapons were poisoned. Rand saw the same marks as the ones on the crash victims, which proved Gao was guilty. Angry, he lit up the Iron Fist and charged at her. But instead of hurting her, he destroyed the door behind her. With Gao captured, Rand told his friends it was time to leave China. After they captured Madame Gao, They brought her to Chakra Dojo and tied her to a chair. While the others questioned Rand's decision, he insisted they couldn't let the enemy choose the battlefield. Claire Temple urged them to turn Gao over to the police, but Rand refused, saying he needed answers. Gao mocked the idea of imprisonment, saying it wouldn't hold her. When Rand demanded the truth about his father in the hand, Gao deflected. Furious, Rand nearly struck her, but she stayed calm. Wing pulled Rand aside and questioned his motives. Temple asked if he was close to torturing her, while Wing wondered why Gao's guilt wasn't enough. With Wing and Temple against his approach, Rand asked why they opposed him. Wing replied that they didn't want him to regret torturing Gao for unreliable answers. Temple suggested using truth serum from Rand Enterprises instead, and Rand and Wing agreed it was better. Rand then left to get it, but ran into Joy Meam, who revealed that she and Ward had been ousted from the company by Lawrence Wilkins. Shocked, Rand learned he'd lost all power except for his shares. Mecham blamed Rand for the chaos since his return. She mentioned Ward's strange behavior and disappearance. Rand denied being involved and walked off. After being banned from Rand Enterprises, Rand broke into the lab to find sodium thiopental. He shattered a window to get inside and searched the lab until Sandy and found him. She reminded him he wasn't allowed there, but Rand asked for her help, reluctantly, and agreed, saying she needed her job and told Rand to deny seeing her if caught. She fetched the truth serum without asking questions, and Rand left. Back at Chakra Dojo, he found Colleen Wing sick in bed. Though she claimed it was just the flu, Rand was worried. Still, she urged him to question Gao. As Claire Temple prepared the dose of sodium thiopental, Rand questioned Gao about her fear of needles. Gao confidently warned him that he wasn't prepared for something. After being injected, Gao initially laughed, but then the serum began working. She revealed that she knew Heather Rand and had manipulated her. Though Wendell refused to deal with the hand, she mentioned Harold Meacham's willingness. Before Rand could ask more, Gao fell asleep. Rand doubted the serum had worked, but Temple noted that Gao might not have the answers. Meanwhile, Wing collapsed in pain from poisoning. Gao revealed she had faked the effects of the serum. As Colleen Wing's condition worsened from the poison, Rand reassured her that they would be okay. Madame Gao mocked them, but Rand ignored her taunts. When the lights went out, Gao warned Rand that his time was up and that his friends would die. Armed men broke into the dojo, throwing a smoke bomb and attacking. Rand used the Iron Fist to defeat the attackers with Wing and Temple helping. After the fight, Rand checked on his allies and noted that the unconscious men were military, not hand ninjas. Gao offered Rand a deal, escort her to safety, and she would save Wing with an antidote. With Colleen Wing's condition worsening from the poison, Rand and Claire Temple struggled to help her while Madame Gao mocked them. Rand threatened to kill Gao if Wing died. Just then, Wing's sensei Bakudo arrived and claimed to have dealt with Gao's men. He urged Rand to use the Iron Fist to heal Wing, guiding him through the process. Despite not being trained for it, Rand successfully burned out the poison, saving Wing's life. However, using the Iron Fist drained him completely. Bakudo's men then took Rand and Gao away for treatment, leaving Temple behind. As another man observed, Rand woke up in a peaceful room, finding Colleen Wing by his side. She reassured him that they were in a safe location, her home, and after a tender moment, they kissed. Wing explained that the compound was a sanctuary for people in need, and Bakudo, her sensei, was like family to her. Bakudo greeted Rand and offered to help recharge his ki, teaching him a new meditation technique. Later, Rand and Bakudo discussed the organization, with Bakudo revealing that they helped those in need. The conversation shifted to Madame Gao, who was being held in solidarity for now. Rand noticed armed guards. Rand entered Bakudo's office and questioned his motivations regarding the Iron Fist. Bakudo insisted they weren't using people at the compound and praised Rand for his moral values, noting how Rand would turn his company around. Bakudo showed Rand a 1948 recording of a fully realized Iron Fist, defeating Chinese soldiers effortlessly. Bakudo revealed his obsession with the Iron Fist powers and offered Rand a partnership to protect his students from Gao and her heroine. Afterward, Rand received a call from Joy Meachum, revealing that Harold was alive and still plotting to regain control of Rand Enterprises. Rand promised to confirm Gao's fate. Rand continued exploring the compound, meeting Daryl, who expressed satisfaction with his life there. Daryl introduced him to others, but warned of curfews and restricted areas. Driven by suspicion, Rand secretly ventured into the compound and located Madame Gao's cell. When Rand confronted her, Gao mocked his pursuit of justice, claiming punishment was childish. She insulted Rand's decisions and hinted at a deeper manipulation at play. Gao warned Rand that they were stealing his ability to trust, revealing it was the hand, causing Rand shock and horror. Despite her taunts, Rand remained determined to find the truth. Rand, shocked by Gao's revelation that they were part of the hand, confronted Bakuto, who dismissed his suspicions, stating that Rand would find no answers from Gao. Back in his room, Rand shared his doubts with Colleen Wing, who then revealed her secret membership with the hand. Distraught, Rand lashed out, condemning Wing for her deception and the hand's crimes. Wing tried to explain that Gao was part of a rogue faction, but Rand couldn't trust her. He questioned if she had been manipulated by Bakuto, even asking if their relationship was part of a scheme, leaving their bond shattered. Rand, feeling betrayed by Colleen Wing's revelation that she was part of the hand, left her alone, struggling with the depth of the lies he had been fed. Later, while meditating, Rand followed a mysterious noise through the compound and uncovered a hidden basement with surveillance equipment, tracking his every move. Enraged by the betrayal, he destroyed the monitors only for Bakut to appear, disappointed that Rand had taken the bait. Rand, furious, confronted Bakuto for his lies. But Bakuto coldly stated it was just a test, and Rand had failed, deepening Rand's disillusionment. Rand, enraged by Bakuto's lies, attacked him with fury, throwing a keyboard before the two exchanged blows. Bakuto used his speed and tactics to counter the Iron Fist's attacks, even wounding pillars with his blades. But Rand ultimately disarmed him and knocked him down. As Bakuto's soldiers rushed in, Rand realized the hand's true intentions and decided to escape. Alarms blared as Rand encountered students trying to stop him, only for Davos to appear and knock them out, scolding Rand. Davos revealed his mission to bring Rand back to Kunlun. Together, they fought their way through guards and rushed toward freedom, planning to break through the gate. However, Daryl blocked their path. As Rand and Davos fought their way through the Han soldiers, Rand was stabbed by Bakuto, a wound witnessed by Colleen Wing. Despite the injury, Rand was reluctant to leave Daryl behind when Davos broke his leg, but Davos convinced him to press on. At the gate, Davos urged Rand to summon the Iron Fist, but Rand found himself unable to do so. As Bakuto explained that Rand's emotions had destroyed Hiski. Enraged and frustrated, Rand charged ahead, fighting fiercely alongside Davos. They used their combined skills to fend off the growing swarm of hand cultists, but the overwhelming numbers began to turn the tide against them. Just when all seemed lost, someone opened the gate for them. Rand was ready to continue the fight, but Davos insisted they escape. As the gate closed behind them, they were pursued by a few cultists who Davos quickly dispatched. To Rand's surprise, he saw Wing in the control room, having helped them escape. Before Rand could process this, Davos urged them to keep moving, and the two friends managed to escape the compound, narrowly evading Bakuto's grasp. Arriving in New York City, Davos said Rand needed stitches before returning to Lune, but Rand refused. Davos reminded him the path was open and he wasn't there to protect it. Rand insisted he couldn't leave, and Davos pointed out he had no problem leaving them. He suggested they submit to the Thunderer, who might restore Rand's chai, calling him a failure for not even lighting the Iron Fist due to past mistakes. Rand, holding his wound, knew Davos was right. While fleeing the hand, Rand examined his wound and tried to restore Hiski, but painful visions kept blocking his focus. In a parking lot, Davos urged Rand to return to Kunlun for healing. After seeing an article about his work, Rand got angry and smashed Davos's phone. Rand explained the tracking equipment he had found in Bakuto's basement, but Davos insisted they leave before the path closed. Rand refused, blaming the hand for his parents' deaths. Davos reminded him that his duty was to Loon, but Rand argued it was his job to destroy the hand. Rand revealed the truth about his parents and asked for Davos's help to destroy the hand, promising to return to Loon. Afterwards, Rand, bleeding HT help at Claire Temple's home. She'd been searching for him since he was taken from Chikar Dojo. Rand explained that Davos was his friend. Temple treated his wound, removing a shard from Bakuto's dagger. She suggested Rand use his chai to heal, but he couldn't summon the Iron Fist. As Temple stitched him up, she asked about Colleen Wing. Rand sent Davos away and revealed that Wing was part of the hand, shocking Temple. He explained that Bakuto was building an army in New York. Temple suggested that Wing might have been brainwashed. Rand grew angry, but Temple calmed him down. She hinted that his emotions were from a broken heart. After treating him, Temple gave him antibiotics and a shirt from Luke Cage. Rand noticed the bullet holes and asked about Luke. Temple smiled and said he was probably doing better than Rand. Rand tried to meditate on Claire Temple's roof, but the pain from his wound and his emotional turmoil kept him from focusing. Memories of Loon only added to his stress. Colleen Wing arrived and told Rand she was alone. She urged him to go to the hospital, but Rand reminded her that Bakuto had stabbed him. Wing defended Bakuto, saying he claimed Rand attacked first. Rand warned her that Bakuto was building a new hand army. Wing said Bakuto was helping the kids, but Rand remained distrustful. He declared he was the Iron Fist, sworn enemy of the hand. Wing apologized and Rand silently acknowledged it. Later, Rand suggested visiting Harold Meacham for help against Bakuto, but Temple cautioned him not to act rashly. Rand reassured her that he had found his true purpose. Temple told Rand he was more than just a destroyer and warned that his trauma was fueling his anger. She urged him to control it or he'd be left with nothing but destruction. Rand thanked her and asked to borrow her car, which she agreed to. No more traps, no more interrogations. This has to be done as it should have been from the start. You're talking about murder. We cut off the head and the snake will die. Danny Rand and Joy Meacham. At Harold Meacham's penthouse, Rand introduced Davos and they discussed taking on Bakuto. Rand noted the compound's defenses and Harold suggested luring Bakuto out by closing the heroin money transfer, now under Meacham's control. He argued that the hand was predictable. Harold proposed Rand and Davos strike when Bakuto went for his money. Davos was worried, but Harold insisted they could handle him. Joy, however, was disturbed by Rand's plan to kill Bakuto, expecting they'd capture him instead. Rand and Davos waited outside Bakuto's compound that night, bickering about who could drive Claire Temple's car. Davos reminded Rand of a past incident when Rand wrecked Brother Qu's cart, and Rand explained how his anger made it harder to control Hiskey, leading him to question his right to the Iron Fist. Davos argued that Rand should have stayed in Kuin following his duty. Davos admitted his struggles with anger, believing the trial of Zolo was his birthright. He questioned why Rand left Kuin, but Rand explained the emptiness he felt after the plane crash and how a hawk flying made him believe the way out of Kuin was open, though Davos saw it as a sign that Kunlun needed protection. As they argued, they spotted Colleen Wing escaping the hand compound. Rand followed her despite Davos's protest. Wing, traumatized and betrayed by Bakuto, attacked Rand with a pipe, but he calmed her down, assuring her he meant no harm. Wing, in despair, tried to provoke Rand into killing her, but Rand stopped her. He comforted her, saying he understood her pain. He urged her to stop running and destroy the hand. Finally, he forgave her and hugged her while Davos watched, disappointed and concerned. On their way back to New York, Rand comforted Colleen Wing, who was still shaken by Bakuto's betrayal. Davos warned Rand not to trust her, but Wing denied being part of the hand. When Wing recognized Davos from Kunlun, Davos became angry and refused to believe her. Rand defended Wing, reminding Davos that she had helped them escape. Davos August Wing helped destroy the compound, but she refused, saying she was worried about her students still inside. When Davos taunted her about defeating them, Wing punched him. Rand stepped in to stop the fight. Davos saw this as proof that Wing was with the hand, while Wing disapproved. Rand tried to calm them down, but Davos taunted Rand, calling him a coward. Rand explained his teachings from Luin, but Wing said those teachings had ruined Hiski. The tension between them remained. At Chakera Dojo, Rand treated Wing's bruises and praised her bravery. She admitted Bakuto had fooled her. Rand assured her that Bakuto was a villain, but she was still human. He offered her a safe place to stay, but she refused. Determined to kill Bakuto, Davos entered, noticing they were losing focus as Ward video called Rand. Bakuto showed the Meachums hostage, shooting Joy in the stomach and threatening to behead Harold if Rand didn't arrive in 30 minutes. Bakuto held a katana to Harold's neck, warning Rand of another loss. Rand stormed out, ignoring Dvoz's suggestion to wait. Rand arrived just in time to stop Bakuto. He demanded the Meachums be freed, taking Joy's hand and insisting she needed a doctor. Bakuto promised help after they left. Rand was cuffed and Bakuto explained that Rand was still dangerous. Rand learned that Ward had called Bakuto and Bakuto apologized for not honoring his deal. Rand glared at Ward as Bakuto left with him in custody. In the elevator, Bakuto called the Meachums a pit of vipers, saying Rand should be thankful for his help. Rand asked what Bakuto planned to do with the Iron Fist. Bakuto smiled, saying they'd change the world and complete Rand's training. Rand questioned how he could help since he didn't even know what he wanted to be. At the bottom floor, Rand regained his chai and broke his chains. He tried to strike at Bakuto, but lost his powers. While Bakuto and his men were distracted, Colleen and Davos attacked the guards. Iron Fist took down one guard and faced Bakuto, taunting him. Bakuto slashed Rand's chest, claiming the hand's doctors could heal him. They fought fiercely with Iron Fist holding Bakuto's blade. When Wing screamed in pain, Rand pushed Bakuto away. After the guards were defeated, Bakuto fled and Rand, Wing, and Davos chased him. They chased Bakuto to Central Park where he confronted them. Bakuto mocked Wing for betraying the hand and she chose to fight him alone. Rand watched anxiously as Wing defeated Bakuto, stabbing him. Davos pushed Rand to kill Bakuto, but Wing suggested turning him over to the police. As Bakuto bled out, he taunted Rand about being used as a weapon. Furious, Davos killed Bakuto. Rand reprimanded Davos, but Davos argued that it was his duty as the Iron Fist. Rand disagreed, saying that killing had consequences in New York. Davos called Rand a failure, and Wing defended him, but Davos dismissed her. Rand stood by Wing. Davos angrily told Rand that Kaun would have been better off if he hadn't been saved from the crash. The two fought with Davos accusing Rand of abandoning Kaun. Using Hiski, Rand summoned the Iron Fist and demanded that Davos yield. He explained that his powers weren't just for Unusur Loon and that he was Danny Rand and the Iron Fist. Davos, frustrated, left, warning that Rand's departure would bring consequences. Wing asked if Rand was okay, and he replied he'd manage. They discovered that Bakuto's body was missing, likely taken by his men. Rand remained concerned, recalling Harold Meacham's resurrection with the hand. Rand updated Harold on Bakuto's death and Joy's condition, then told him he'd stay with Wing at the dojo. At the dojo, Rand shared his regret about falling out with Davos and how Wing was the first person who made him feel genuinely connected. She reciprocated his feelings and they kissed. The following day, Rand received a warning from Ward about a threat. They were ambushed by DEA agents whom they initially thought was the hand. After defeating them, they realized they were being hunted and fled the dojo. Hiding in Central Park, Rand was shocked to see he was wanted for drug trafficking. Colleen arrived with the news and suggested they find proof of his innocence. They contacted Jerry Hoggarth, who warned them not to turn themselves in, and gave Rand altered documents from the hand. Hoggarth gave Rand 3 options: leave for Thurthaloon, turn himself in for a plea deal, or prove his innocence. With no better choice, Rand decided to find someone he trusted even less than Harold. Rand and Colleen Wing found the hand compound deserted. In Gao's cell, she mocked Rand for his guilt and confusion. She claimed that Rand's anger over his parents' death was why he left Kaun, hinting that something caused the crash. Rand, struggling with anger, wanted revenge on Harold for betraying him. Colleen offered to kill him for Rand, but Claire Temple warned that seeking vengeance would corrupt his chi and stop him from fully accessing his powers. Despite their concerns, Rand remained determined, realizing he had to choose between revenge or true strength. Rand met Ward, who revealed that Harold had locked the hand tablet in a safe with guards posted. Despite the risks, Rand was set on confronting Harold about his parents' death. Later, as they prepared to act, Ward warned of more guards, but Rand refused to wait, focused on his vengeance. Temple caused a distraction, allowing Rand to sneak past the guards. He ambushed Harold's office from the roof, and a fierce fight broke out. When Wing was threatened, Rand unleashed a shock wave, knocking everyone back. As Harold fled, Rand checked on Wing and chased him to the roof while Ward secured the hand tablet. Rand chased Harold Mecham to the roof of Rand Enterprises. Mecham shot Rand, wounding his hand while taunting him about their past and Rand's thirst for revenge. Rand, torn between killing Mecham or taking him into custody, fought back. He landed a kick before Mecham expressed regret over not killing Wendell. Rand declared that Mecham was to blame for their family's destruction, and Mecham vowed vengeance against him. Rand tackled Mecham, but his gunshot wound stopped him from using the Iron Fist. Mecham mocked him and attacked with a steel pole. Rand regained focus and landed several punches, impaling Mecham on a spike. Mecham taunted him again, but Rand chose to have him arrested, not killed. When Mecham tried to shoot, Colleen, Wing, and Ward intervened, and Rand deflected the bullet with the Iron Fist. Rand's chi healed his wound after blocking Harold's bullet. Ward killed Harold, ending his father's abuse. The next day, Rand learned that all charges against him had been dropped. Ward invited Rand to run the company, but Rand declined. Later, Rand visited Colleen Wing at Chakera Dojo, discussing training and a scholarship for Temple. Temple asked about Rand's plans, and he revealed that he was going back to CUN to explain why he left and to finish his training. Temple suggested they both needed psychological help before leaving the dojo. Wing was sad to see Rand go, but he shared that he needed to discover who he could be as the Iron Fist. He hoped Wing would join him, and she agreed, which made Rand happy. Rand and Wing traveled to the Himalayas, almost reaching Kuan. However, when they arrived at the passage, they found it stained with blood and the bodies of the Order of the Crane Mother. The hand had attacked and the portal to Kuan was gone. Furious and feeling he had failed, Rand prepared for revenge, his chi glowing angrily. Thank you for watching. See you in the next movie.